everyone, and good morning. Welcome to the 20th episode of ASCENT Talks. My name is Ajit. I've been an ASCENT member for 10 years and lead Nova, an air conditioning company, and Pure Blue, a tech-enabled startup in the air conditioning domain. And as usual, my co-host is Aleem. How are you doing, Aleem? Hey, Aleem. Hey, dude. You got to unmute.
I'm learning still. Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Ajit. My name is Aleem. I run a creative marketing and advertising agency that specializes in healthcare marketing called Synapse. And we're very excited to have you this morning for the show that gets fan mails from some people. You know, I'm talking about, I don't know which direction I'm pointing out in, but some people get fan mail nowadays. So wherever we go nowadays, we're becoming famous, and that's a good feeling. But for those of you who don't know what is Ascent, Ajit is here to explain to you about that.
Yeah, now we are on the 20th episode. By now, I hope everyone's figured out what Ascent is all about. But we've got a lot of new viewers who've been joining us every event. And for those who are joining us for the first time, Ascent is a not for profit expression of Harsh Mariwala, Chairman Marico Ltd, and his passion to identify high potential growth stage entrepreneurs and enable them to grow their enterprise and enrich their entrepreneurial journey. Launched in 2012, Ascent today empowers more than 850 entrepreneurs across India. Ascent is designed as a unique, powerful peer to peer platform that leverages the power of the collective through self facilitated groups called trust groups, which enables entrepreneurs to share and exchange experiences, ideas, insights, and create a healthy ecosystem to learn from each other. Today's event, which is usually a weekly event held every Friday at 11 a.m., Ascent Talks, showcases Ascent members and their interesting entrepreneurial journeys. So let's bring in our speaker today, who is also a member of the Ascent Governing Council, Aleem.
Salute. Hey, Mara speaker.
There you go. He's
Hi,
there.
Literally, yes. He took his while.
Hi
so,
guys. Hi Ajit. Hi Ali.
hi, Ankit.
Right. Hi, Ankit.
So, welcoming Ankit Tanna to the group, to the show today. Ankit is the director of Printman Group. Printman Group is a 360-degree packaging solution provider providing cartons, labels, leaflets, aluminum foils to the healthcare, food, FMCG companies, and and not only in India but globally. They're a 35-year-old company, and they provide design to delivery services to their clients. Ankit is the director of the company, and his key focus areas are finance and supply chain across the groups for all business verticals. And Ankit is also an avid reader. He loves to play cricket and table tennis. He enjoys watching football and tennis, and is a diehard Manchester United fan and a Roger Federer fan. So welcome, Ankit, to the show, and we're very excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Ankit, hitting it off, can you tell us about the business? Can you give us an overview about what you do, how you do it, and what is different about Printman?
Right. So Printman Group is a 35 young company, not an old company. So it's a family managed business. We are into packaging. We serve the healthcare, FMCG, and food segments. We are the only company in India which has four products under its umbrella, which is cartons, labels, leaflets, and aluminium foil. We are all sustainable packaging because we are only into paper based as well as aluminium based. So yeah, that's about Printman. I am the director of the company, joined in 2010, but doing all my internships from the year 2002 3 about what are you doing in your summer vacation, let's go and work for 2 hours. But yeah, joined officially in 2010, taking care of the entire supply chain, finance, and making sure that Printman is a visible brand and people know more about Printman.
Fabulous.
Ankit, you were saying that you're a family managed business. Tell me something.
Yeah,
You finished your education. I mean,
yeah.
do you really wanted to join your dad's business? Do you want the family business? And what are the kind of opportunities? I mean, what did you see that you wanted to get into the business? And tell us that little journey of that switch over and joining your family
Yeah,
business, and
yeah,
also kind of where is this industry going?
sure. So there was never a doubt about joining Printman. So that was one thing which was very clear in the head. Uh, I think I was in 8th standard, year 2000, where like dad actually sat us across, my brother and me, and is like, "क्या करना है life में?" So we are like, "Printman, bro, printman ही join करना है हमको. We've seen you build this, and we've seen you work hard. We used to compete whether I go to school first or he goes to office first, and we've seen that journey, right? He's being a first generation. So like, we want to join Printman. The way my brother's taken education, I have taken education, is what all planned of what we are going to handle in the business. So there was never a doubt about joining Printman. So post my education, I've done my management in from HR, and I've done my finance masters from Manchester Business School. So yeah, I mean, you come back, and I joined on day one of coming back from UK. So that's been the journey. In terms of packaging, I think we are at this pinnacle of this growth. So from 2010, obviously we've had hyper growth. Uh, we've got a solid foundation by our father, who's very much still active, and my brother and me are building this together. And luckily for us, I think all these big corporates have taken this anti-plastic drive, into from last 4 5 years with a pause in COVID. So that's where paper and aluminium based packaging comes in and fits in very well. And we've also been expanding and during COVID. So things in the next 5 to 7 years to 10 years look extremely exciting. In terms of even the consumption of packaging, I think is going to explode per person in the next 5 7 years.
And Ankit, since you've taken over, how long has it been that you've taken over?
Um, I've joined in 2010.
10. Okay, so it's been
Yeah,
13 years. So what are the
yeah,
changes you brought about? I mean, it's a family business. It's difficult to bring changes in family
right.
business. What kind of changes do you bring into the business? What kind of freshness do you bring into this? And how difficult and easy has it been for you?
Yeah. So as I said, the roles were very much defined. So when I joined the business in 2010, my focus area was finance and supply chain. So obviously, changing a lot of things in finance is next to impossible when you're running a family managed business and you have your dad who handles the finance. So I concentrated on supply chain. I think supply chain was hello, ye bhej do, and those kind of things. So from that to professionalizing the entire supply chain to make it person not person dependent and process dependent,
Yeah.
even in terms of finance, wherever I could add processes, systems, so that when we scale, we don't find issues. It doesn't become a people dependent thing. It becomes a professional dependent thing. I think those are the changes which I bought in these two departments. Also, 80%, 90% of our business was healthcare. So sort of the focus was to get a little bit of non-healthcare businesses into the company. That's where, and most importantly, I think, to make Printman into a brand name. We were always a brand name for our clients, but
Mm.
we want a brand name which would pull customers towards us. We were always a push strategy. So that happens when you make your brand a visible brand, right? So when Printman is there doing good things, expanding in the right way, people will come to you and talk to you about their requirements. And that's how we built it in the last 10, 12 years. And I'm happy that I've been able to add value there.
But Ankit, tell me something. If there's anything in Ascent we've all figured out is being part of family business is not going to be easy, man. You got a
Oh,
dad, you got a brother.
yeah, yeah,
It's never easy. Especially you come in,
yeah,
you've got a dad who's actually built the business,
yeah,
and you come in with another set of aspirations. Your brother comes in with
yeah.
another set of aspirations.
Yeah.
Tell us how easy it is, or what are the kind of challenges that comes around it. Yeah, I mean, you must share this with everybody because it kind of validates a lot of the family businesses, because everybody wants to be nice and hunky-dory and not upset a family member. But
Yeah.
how did you, if you could share some examples around it, it'll be fantastic.
Sure. So I think I give a lot of credit to my father. We've always been in the school of thought where you have to command respect. You can't demand it. So it's not that I came from Manchester, done my master's in finance, and by कल उठ के मैं सब sign करूंगा. It wasn't like that. So when I joined my business, I worked under my HOD finance. I worked for 6 months there. Then I worked 6 months under my HOD supply chain. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि भाई ये करना है, ये करना है, ये करना है. First, I understood the nuances of the business by working under them. So it was clear I had no access to my father. I had to go to my HOD for everything, and then They used to take probably my opinions there, and I was trying to be a part of the system. I used to have lunch with my HOD. I used to not go and have lunch with my father. Those small things, I think my father pushed that this is the way it works. In fact, uh, it's very interesting that once you do that, then you start adding value by giving your opinions of where you can professionalize it and all of that. And I think that's where I started commanding respect. So that was a good learning, and I recommend that everyone should do that when they join the family businesses. In terms of dealing with the family dynamics, I always thought, this slow decision making process. I'm here to come, I've done my education, aake ye karna hai. And then my dad used to be like, calm down, it cannot happen right now, we'll talk about it later. So I said, what is this talk about it later? I think it's a brilliant idea, let's go ahead and do it. But over the years, that made me rebellious. So like, you don't know anything, you've not studied there, and I know how it works and all. Ultimately nothing happened. So over the time, in the last 3 to 4 years, after a good 7, 8 years, and probably the Ascent, a cohort of mine has helped me understand that being rebellious in a family managed business doesn't work. So what you have to really do is, you have to understand everyone's needs. You have to see bhai logo ko kya chahiye. You have to put in the right questions into their head, so that they sort of agree to what you want to do into the business, and that's where actual things get executed. So yeah, it's been a journey for me where I've learned it the hard way, definitely, but it's all good now.
But
Super.
sorry, Aleem, just one.
Yeah.
I want to actually pick your brains on the same thing what you just said.
Yeah.
Don't you ever come across that time when you say that, yeah, there is a huge opportunity. I mean,
Huh.
I'm tired of making them understand. Why are we
Yeah.
missing this whole thing? And
Hmm.
you had your own scenes where you said, forget,
Absolutely.
I'm done. I'm just going to step out. I mean, and
Yeah.
how many times do you have these? Or you just said that now you come to terms with it, abhi aisa hi chalega.
No. So I think also credit to dad and my brother, that the opinion is not that it's never taken. It's not that you're not allowed to talk, and it's not that you're not allowed to give your opinions and give your justification. Justification and opinions are taken. What I realize is that numbers help a lot. So first I was like, Papa, machine khareed lete hai. I think we really need this machine. He's like, why? It's a 10 crore machine. Why do you need it? Then you say that demand is here, it's reached here, these are the clients which you are going to target next year, this is the capacity, and this is where we are going to find bottlenecks. And then all of a sudden you get a better year from him. So he's like, you know what, I think you're going to let me think this through in a day and I'll get back to you. From मैं सोच के बताता हूँ, it became like, yeah, this guy is sort of making sense. So obviously I learned to navigate situations much better. And as I keep repeating, this came because I had first generation entrepreneurs in my Ascent group who told me
Uh,
that मैं भी तेरा नहीं सुनने वाला हूँ, तो तेरा बाप क्या सुनेगा?
Wow.
तो पहले मेरे को convince कर, then I'll tell you how to navigate your father. So that's
Right.
how it sort of helped me to navigate situations from 2018-19.
And Ankit, how did you navigate this situation of international business? Now, very few printing businesses want to go international. So, how did you navigate
Yeah.
that situation? What is your vision around this whole thing? Because this sounds very exciting.
Yeah. So basically, you know, we were doing a lot of materials for the pharmaceutical and healthcare sector, which they were exporting. So that gives us the confidence that at least you're making the products which is going there.
Yeah.
Now it's about how to make the journey into international businesses on your own. So that journey started when obviously we built infrastructure. So it cannot be a chicken and egg in our industry. It has to be base banao, machine leke aao, because you get audited. Aleem, you come from pharmaceutical background, you know how stringent it is.
Yeah.
So you have to make a base, and that's what we did. I think we got our certifications. We invested in certifications from 2012. That's a cost of 10 to 12 lakhs per year, which has no return on capital, or no cost sheet में नहीं आता है कि भाई तुमने certification लिया.
Yeah.
But these are the investments we made in processes, systems, infrastructure, where we started getting audited. And then international clients, sort of up from our local clients, started auditing us. And that's where the confidence got built. And today, around 12 to 15% of our revenue comes from direct exports. So it's been a journey started in 2012, but we are seeing the fruits now. So I think we need to have a lot of patience to build international businesses. But when they get built, I think they are there for the long. For the
Yeah.
first time, I think Printman participated in an international exhibition. We
Oh, wow.
participated in CPHI Germany for the first time.
Wow.
So that again gave us a confidence that there's someone from India who's doing world class products, and that has been great.
Uh,
Nice.
Yeah,
Ajit, you
Another. So sorry. So just. By the time Aleem is searching for his papers, he's got a line of questions. The paper mix. So he's got a cards. You haven't realized it. If you look at his face, no, he's got cards. So if that card order changes, no, our man is lost.
yeah,
But Ankit, I want you to share with us about the Ascent journey. You
yeah,
really tell us how did this whole Ascent happen and this journey, and right through
yeah.
to your experiences in the governing council. I mean, it'll be a great interesting to hear from you
Right.
in your different phases as to how you felt when you first came in, how did you get introduced, then that
Yeah.
journey, and then getting into Ascent governing council and the learnings around it.
Sure. So obviously, I was having whatever struggles I spoke about with my family dynamics and nahi ho raha hai. So I spoke to few people, and they said that join entrepreneurship groups. That's where you get to learn a lot of things rather than that. So uh, yeah, BNI sort of didn't fit into my framework. So I attended a FICCI event where I met Mr. and Mrs. Baldava. They are Ascent members,
Yeah,
and they told me
yeah,
about Ascent, and I was like, this looks interesting. And it's not the YPO.
yeah.
YPO is very far off for me, and I don't think I can convince my father to pay that 15-20 lakh entry fee and all of that. So let's do something which does not have money involved. So I joined. That's how the initiation started, and then obviously went through the interview process. And when I attended meetings, first meeting, I obviously understood Ascent and what it stood for. And who better than Ajit to be the initiator of the group to let you know about Ascent? So obviously, you are part of my Ascent journey, Ajit. You initiated the group, and I think getting chosen as the facilitator, Ajit, you chose me as a facilitator for the first year. I think that really changed the way my mindset was about Ascent, because whenever push comes to shove, like, when I get responsibility on my head, I tend to outperform. I tend to take it very seriously. And I remember you telling me, कुछ भी करके इसको break मत होने देना. So I went out of the way to talk to people, make connections, sort of force people to just come and attend the meeting. Late आ जाओ, no problem. पहली meeting है, late आ जाओ, no problem.
Oh,
Impose the constitution. And I think that's worked out brilliantly. Obviously, I had a great co-facilitator as well in Abhishek. So plus there was synergies, there were conversations, there were hot people, there were cold people. So it all worked out together. And we really took we started sharing very early. We had burning issues, which was great. We did a lifeline where we had tears. So that was just a great journey in the first 1.5 year. And COVID got us closer. So we obviously had Abhishek taking over as the next facilitator, and that actually got us closer. And there were certain people whom were facing a lot of challenges more than someone like me. So at that time, then you connect at the personal level. So obviously, it's been probably what I've done through a facilitator and how a group has done sort of attracted me into getting into the governing council as well. So I was contacted by the executive team, and I was like, great, so I've built this. Now there is an opportunity to make this. And it's also about giving back, because by then in that 2 years, I had just got so much out of Ascent. And I have no qualms in like saying that, it really helped me navigate my family dynamics so well, because there are 60 years, 55 years, 50 years members in my group who told me, तूने अभी तक किया क्या है? How can you talk to your father like that? So I was like, I went back and I was like, actually, he's my father. Yaar. I cannot talk like this. Just because he's saying you talk, I can't talk like this. So that's helped me, right? It's helped me in my business. It's helped me as a person. So that's where I think the governing council opportunity came, and I grabbed it with both hands. And it's been a great journey in the governing council as well. Seeing Mr. Mariwala working with the executive team and seeing his vision for Ascent is inspiring.
That's pretty good. Aleem, actually, I don't know if you know, Ankit, we always ask this question: how does your Ascent journey start? You met
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Baldawa. That's one. We've had very interesting introductions,
Like,
Yeah.
including. So I was
can you
hoping,
please
यार,
maybe
इस
show?
बंदे का भी कुछ introduction बढ़िया रहेगा.
There cannot be anything more interesting than Bumble of last week. So that
You watched it.
You watched that
yeah.
show?
So yeah. So my introduction was boring, but I don't think you'll ever be able to beat Bumble in your next 20 episodes as well.
We're looking.
No,
We're
no, we're
looking.
waiting. We're waiting for the guy who got introduced on Tinder. We're waiting for him. We're waiting for him.
Or the woman who got
Right.
introduced on Tinder, both ways.
I say.
And Ankit, tell
Yeah.
us about your personal life. Tell us about your family. Tell us about I mean, we saw that you're a big sports fan and things like that. But tell
Yeah.
us about where you all get
Right.
all that.
So, family, obviously, dad, mom, brother's family, me, my wife. I have two kids, 6 years old and 2 years old.
Oh,
Son is 6 and daughter is 2. So that's about family. We are a very joint family, knit everyone in the business. Everyone comes from the women of the house also, they come from business family. So everyone understands business and how it works. Work comes home. वो सब पता है मतलब तो वो अच्छा है. In terms of personally, I always like to say this: if I would have not been into this business, I would have been an investment banker because that's something I love. I love doing investments. I have a thing for it. So somewhere I handle my family office now. COVID has taught us that not all your eggs should be in one basket. So I handle my family offices. We obviously do our traditional investments, but we are also now investing into startups and those kind of other alternative investment funds, those kind of things I'm doing. Sports has always been part of my life. So I'd been captain of my school football team for
oh,
the longest time, 4 5 years. I've played cricket. Um, then obviously I fractured one or two of my limbs, So then sports took a break. But I've always been a sports enthusiast. I'm following football since 2002. Tennis, Roger Federer, big fan. Obviously, he's retired now, but Manchester United fan. I'm glad we are talking today when we won 4-1 yesterday and not after Sunday where we lost
correct.
7-0. But yeah, I mean, this is about me. I love reading books. So obviously, you can see this. Uh,
Nice.
I'm an avid reader. I like biographies. I like Malcolm Gladwell as an author. Fitness is again part of my life. I'm the 5 a.m. club, Robin Sharma. So get
Oh,
up at 5, work out at 5:45 to 7, and start my day at quarter to 8. So I have to exercise every day. It can be a small 15-minute thing at home as well. But I don't have targets of losing 15 kilo lose karna hai or six pack chahiye. But my target is to exercise every day.
nice.
So that's how I keep things simple because that's what's written in Atomic Habits, right? You try to set big targets, it doesn't work. But it's easy to do exercise every day. कुछ नहीं तो एक jumping jack कर लो 10 मिनट के लिए. So that's about me.
That's amazing, man. So we got
Yeah,
about like kind of just about quick 5 minutes before we wind up. But I
sure.
really want you to share about this whole experience that you had in startup investments.
Hmm.
You've been investing in a lot of startups, and you're a second
Yeah,
generation entrepreneur. What's that learning
yeah,
process been like? Yeah.
yeah. So as I said, investments is something which I wouldn't say it comes naturally to me, but I'm naturally inclined towards. So I would read a lot of stuff, but I'm not naive enough to say, यार मैंने बहुत दुनिया देख ली और मुझे इन्वेस्ट करना है. I actually went ahead and there is this company called Inc 42, which is the media company for startups.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
came up with a very corporate course called Angel One. So basically, that was for entrepreneurs like me who want to start family offices. It was sort of the fees were a bit high, but as a family office, obviously we could afford that. And they had the who's and who of the angel network come and talk to you about certain topics.
Oh,
So obviously, before putting in the first penny, I went ahead and did this 6 to 7 week course. I flew down to Delhi, met all of them, took their brains, did a lot of reading, and that's when. And first, I convinced my father that you have to allocate me a fund. So without doing this and not getting allocated a fund, and there will be bad decisions. But I think that's been super supportive. My dad and brother leave me totally to this fund, which is allocated to the family office. I obviously tell them everything and I run their minds through it also. But point is that you cannot just start because you have funds available. You got to learn the basics, which I did. I read a lot about investments, so the Peter Lynch and the Gautam Baid and the Warren Buffets. I've read all of that. That knowledge plus some professional experience and investing in something what I only understand. So we've invested in a packaging startup. We understand packaging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've invested in a SaaS startup where it's somewhere related to taking care of their packaging needs and raw material, the collaterals and all of that. So something again which we understand. So we are not in a hurry to invest in 20 companies, but we are investing in 2 3 companies where I actually spend my Saturdays with them. One Saturday in a month, I go and spend 2 hours with them and do a talk with them.
Nice.
Nice. That's amazing. Yeah. And that must
Yeah.
be quite a bit of a learning, right? To see these first time youngsters actually go through that whole grind of putting a company together.
It makes you realize how privileged I am. So I
That's
didn't
True.
have
True.
I
yeah.
didn't have to go through the tough times. Let me be honest. I'm not going to say क्या tough journey थी मेरी नहीं थी नहीं थी because it was
Nice.
a foundation. Obviously, scaling up is something which I take pride in. But when you talk to these founders, and I was like, यार CC limit ले ले क्या हुआ? He's like, sir, what are you saying? And then I was like, no, 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 sorry, I take that back. So tell me, he's like, sir, how do I pay my next payroll? Like, I have to have 7 lakh rupees in my account. Do I put it in this or put it in this? And then about visibility, about supply chain. Supply chain is something where I try to help in the most. People don't understand cash discounting, they don't understand supply finance versus bank finance. So that's where I try to add value. And ultimately, even after giving, I think the most important learning is they can still not take my opinion about it. So that's something which I've you know convinced myself कि मैं दूंगा suggestion, but ultimately तेरा business है.
Yeah.
I have your 4%, 5%, but still take that call. Even if you fall, then I'm there for you. It's like that.
Sure. Okay.
Amazing. Ankit, fabulous listening to you, man. And I've known you
Yeah.
personally. You're as humble as in person, and you come
True.
across. But
Yeah.
it's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
And of course, throwing a lot of light on that printing business and the
Yeah.
opportunities and the aspirations around it. We wish you the very best.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us
you.
today. Thank you so much.
Thank
See
you
you.
so much. It's
Bye.
pleasure. Thanks, Aleem and Ajit. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. All right, guys. So we are at the end of the show, and if you like this talk, have you been watching all our talks before? Follow us, share it, and make someone stay. But if you're a growth ready entrepreneur and you want to become part of Ascent, get to ascentfoundation.in, make an application. Uh, a big rider on this. This is like how Ankit was saying, this is not something that you can pay a fee and become a member. Go for it, apply for it. The Ascent team will get in touch with you and they'll evaluate you. There is a process to it. And once you qualify as a growth ready entrepreneur, that's it. We will welcome you into our cohort. That's all we have for today, but a fantastic session today, a lot of learning. And what do you think, Ali?
Absolutely. The great show, and Ankit, as usual, great human being, great guy to always interact with whenever we meet him, even in person.
Absolutely. So that's the link that you guys can go on, ascentfoundation.in, and put in your application out there, and we will be happy to reach out to you quickly on this one. Thank you very much. See you next Friday at 11
Bye.
o'clock with another interesting entrepreneurial journey. Bye bye.
Bye, guys.